know if you got your shitting pants on.
Because you are about to shit your pants.
A jelly donut?
I'm your Huckleberry.
You're not looking at the big picture. You're not looking at the big picture.
Something wrong with his medulla oblongata.
Hey, welcome to the program. I am Michael Sargent. You're listening to The Big Picture. Okay, we're going to do a little expansion on last week's show where I talked about perceptions. And for those of you that may have not heard the episode, I had done some photographs for, I wouldn't even say it's a client. It was just kind of a fun shoot. And there was some preconceived conceptions about who I am as a photographer and how I act and how I carry myself and, how those perceptions were shattered in a very short time frame. So I was asked to kind of expand on that. And I said, sure, I can do it on the show. Let me just refresh here. When my clients walked in, I always do the same thing. I ask them what their expectations are and what they're looking for in a photograph. And where do they eventually want to go, especially if they have aspirations of being just, more than a photograph. So I was taken back because, the model had said to me, well, what are your expectations? Where do you want this shoot to go? And I was like, wow, okay, interesting. So, we started, and it didn't take long, for, her perception to change of me, of who I was. I mean, she was going off of what somebody else said, or, an idea that somebody else had described me as who I am as a photographer and what I do. And, I'll tell you, it's like, when you get somebody in front of the lens, you need to, you got to loosen them up, so you get natural expressions and things like that. And, even pro models, you've got to kind of do this. You've got to kind of work it in a little bit where they feel comfortable standing in front of your lens, so they don't have like model bitch face all the time. And, I'll tell you what I ended up doing, and this is where it changed things. I have, playlists that I play, on the computer, and I listen to all sorts of different types of music. And where it got funny is as soon as I, put on one of my playlists, something that I enjoy, and I figured that, based on age and things like that, it would be something that my client would enjoy. And, the first thing they said was, man, I can't believe you listen to this kind of music. This is cool. And I'm like, yep. So, the ice started to melt. And then, just in direct communication and the way, I interacted, in a professional manner, it, really started to put the afterburners on. And we were able to really catch some great shots. So what I'm getting at here is, we talk about perceptions and just expanding on the topic. People will paint an image of you, especially when it's word of mouth. And sometimes that image is flattering, sometimes it's not so flattering. Well, it's up to you as the photographer, to shatter that barrier and work with that client to get the images. Now, this client saw who I was, realized that I wasn't some uppity, snobbity photographer guy, that I like to have fun during the shoots. And, I'm, pretty much I say what I need to say. And, you've heard me on this program before, just lay loose, and I will use a lot of colorful metaphors from time to time. Just depends on how I feel or how passionate I am about a particular subject. So you basically, kind of shatter their perceptions and then let them see you for who you really are. And what happens is when people get comfortable in front of the lens, they start to show you who they are. And that's where it really gets interesting, because you're able to capture natural expressions, very dynamic looking images, very flattering portraits. So all I'm really saying is, you have to know how to do that. And if you don't know how to do it, you better learn. Because two things that I've learned: people talk. People talk, especially, you have a client that comes in. Let's just say you don't quite get them to loosen up, or you don't get the shot that you wanted to get with them. That doesn't go so well. Now, I will tell you this. I'll expand on this. I mean, there's a lot of photographers out there, and people have a preference with photographers. Once they like somebody, that's where repeat business comes from. In my world, sometimes you meet people through just from the fact that their family wants to come to you and have their photograph taken, a family portrait. And right there, that's where you have to put it all together and break those barriers with other people if you want to win business away from other photographers, which I'm going to tell you is not a very easy thing to do. Fortunately, what I look at is, the specific types of photography that I do. And, there's that niche there that I like to work with, and not saying that I won't do, just regular portraits, but when people realize what you are able to do in specific categories, that's where you start to identify your target market. So anyway, long story short, perceptions. Have you ever had to deal with a perception? Somebody perceived you differently than who you really are or what you really do as an artist, a photographer, an individual, business professional. It's basically, judging a book by the cover. And I wouldn't say that I was judged by the cover. I would say that I was judged by perception from word of mouth. And, once you break that, you break that barrier and people realize just who the hell you really are, it is very unique. It's very moving, and it's special. And what's amazing is, when you do that and then people are, just like, wow, I can't believe this. I mean, I got a lot of wow out of this last shoot. And, the response is always, they want to have another go with you at one point.
Oh. Who's your friend? Oh, I'd like to have a go with that filly.
So, you do what you do, and you just keep working your niche and getting people to understand who you are, and all of a sudden, brother, it changes everything. So, it was amazing to me because, we do this, perceptions are shattered, we get great shots, and, instead of, getting, well, thank you very much, you get a hug out of the deal, and, they see some of the images that you actually take because of the way that I do things on the big screen. They get a preview of what your imagery is going to be like, and it blows them away, and they love it, and you use it as a tool, and I work that angle, and it works out really good for me. So, when you get the opportunity to change a perception, it's like I said, it is a very powerful moment, and you got to capitalize on it. You got to capitalize it. If you can't do it, then you just failed.
But I have failed!
And I'm not into failing. I do not like to fail. And, you learn from the mistakes. And the thing is, you learn from the mistakes. They become lessons, and once you learn those lessons, that's a very hard thing to kill. All right? So, you just keep doing it and popping it out. And, I very amazed at the way things have worked. It's led to a lot of other things. More shoots with different people because they see what you're able to do, especially when you're working with a pro. So, it's always kind of amazing. Things are just kind of amazing to me. So, there's nothing funny about it. I like to do my thing, and I've seen it time and time again where, people will walk out of one photographer's studio pissed off, they're not happy, and, call them jackasses and everything else.
Jackass!
And then they go to somebody else, and then all of a sudden it's a fit. So what I'm saying here is change people's perceptions, and always remember that it's your responsibility to do so, not the client. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Change perceptions and nail it every single time. And next thing you know, you're the man. They want to come back. They want to see you. Okay, so I am going to take a quick little break here, give you the content that I can, and we'll talk a little bit more about photography. Okay.
Mama said, but Mike, don't you want to be comfortable? I said, no, I don't want to be comfortable. I want to be scared out of my head and lost out of my mind. I want to fall in and out of love a few thousand times. I want to spend all of my money on my friends and I want to ride around on a horse and give people hugs. And when I come into town, they'll say, oh, there's Mike. There's something wrong with that boy. I swear he just ain't right. 'Cause I won't waste another day living someone else's way. I want to be happy. I want to be free. Forget what they say. I'm doing me.
Well, welcome back. Got some good news here. This show has got some sponsorships, and I'm going to give you just a couple of quick notes. I want to thank Anchor FM, and I also want to thank Infatuation. At some point in the show, you'll hear the commercial, and I want to give those guys a big thanks for sponsoring the show. All right. So let me ask people something. It's the holiday season. What are you thinking this year? I mean, how are things looking? People happy? I mean, are they in a better place than what you were a year ago? I know I am. No, I'm not starting a rant on politics. I'm not doing it this week. I've had enough. That gives me a belly ache. What I did want to talk about is there's a lot of software upgrades going on right now. Capture One, it's a program I use to do my editing. I'm new to it. It's pretty easy for me to use. They just released Capture One 12, version 12. Pretty cool stuff there. Another software upgrade that recently took place was ON1. ON1 has released Photo Raw, I believe it's 2019. It's a good program. It's a great program. I enjoy it. I like using it. I don't use it all the time, but I do dabble with it. Okay. Something I want to talk about real quick. I don't know if too many people know this or not. A lot of people have had problems, including myself, with Lightroom, one of the later versions. I believe it's 6.1 6.13 and tethering. Okay, I don't know how many people listening that are photographers have actually ever tethered. And let me break it down for you. Tethering is where you hook your computer up to your camera, and when you snap your images go directly to a computer or a hard drive, portable hard drive. And you can use software to edit right there, with the photos right on your computer. I had a hell of a time. Getting this to work, and I use a tether cord by Tether Tools, and it's a USB. I believe they call it USB-C. It's supposed to be a fast interface. But what was happening is my cameras would not stay connected, and I was kind of blown away over the fact that it would show a connection, but then it would drop the connection. And I was in touch with Adobe trying to get it all figured out, and in time I did, and that allowed me to complete some jobs that I had that required tethering. Okay, so don't give up, people, if you have Adobe 6.13 and you've tried to tether, because some of the later model cameras will work. Okay, it's just, you have to play with it. You probably have to call Adobe. I put a couple of software patches on my computer, and it did work. So, I do know this much is, 6.13 Lightroom will work with, the Canon 5D-SR. It'll work with the 5DS. I didn't have any problems connecting to the Mark III or the 1DX. I did have a problem connecting with the 5D Mark IV. So, not sure if I have that issue resolved yet. I'm working on it. Like I said, I like to use two programs to tether with. I like to use Capture One, and I like to use Lightroom. The differences with Capture One is, because I'm new to it, there's some things I have to learn as far as the tethered captures, and making it go to the folder that my images are being imported in. You want to see a film strip, so you can click on that image and have it show up, especially after you shoot tethered. So I've had a little difficulty with that. That's something I'm working on. So just so everybody knows, the end-all goal here is eventually to get away from Lightroom altogether, because Lightroom has gone to that Creative Cloud crap, and I am not interested in paying for a subscription online to Adobe Lightroom. I've got a stance on that. Now, maybe that stance will change at some point, but currently I have no interest in working with Adobe Lightroom online. I think that, from what I've seen, and maybe somebody can explain it to me or break it down, but it looks like everything, the effects and all that stuff are kind of online. It's like it's not on your computer anymore. So I'm not into that. I want to own the program. I want it on my computer. I want to be able to do what I want when I want to do it. And that's basically it. It's that simple. So, a couple of follow-ups. I will be doing more animal shelter photos very shortly. That process and program has really done some good things for adoptions, and I'm pretty proud of that. It seems that adoptions have gone through the roof since I started, getting involved with creating, just beautiful images of some of these animals and showing people the real potential of a shelter pet. It's kind of moving. It's kind of moving to know that, something you're doing is actually making a difference. Yeah, I'm happy, people. Very happy about that. So, well now. I had noticed there's a couple of new flashes out there by Profoto. You gotta love Profoto. You gotta love the lights. They are expensive, but they're awesome. I'm looking at things now considering just they're upgrades. They'd be upgrades for me. And that's something that, I'm taking into consideration, considering the levels that I'm taking my photography to. You can plan on seeing a lot of outdoor stuff next year. More portrait work, more artistic work. I may even be doing a little fashion stuff. And I don't know if I'll be able to, I'll just tell everybody now, I don't know if I'll be able to do a show next week. I'm going to be out of town. I have a major project to do, and I'm going out of state and doing a pretty big job. So this is about all I got for this week. I don't have a lot of news. Just want to put it out there and let everybody know that I have been swamped and doing the show. I love doing it. I love talking about it. But the more work that I do, the more content that I can bring you and talk about some of the issues that we overcome while I'm actually photographing. But yeah, we got a lot of work to do, people. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank the sponsors of this program. Everybody stay cool. Christmas is coming. I hope everybody gets spoiled. I hope everybody's in a good place. If not, change it. You have the power and the ability to change life. Thanks for listening. Sarge is out.
Like the tongue of the whip, I snap attack, front to back, in this thing called rap. Nigga like a shovel, rhyme double on a heavenly level. Bang the bass, turn up the treble. Radical mind, day and night, all the time. 714, wise, divine, maniac, brainiac, winning the game. I'm the lyrical Jesse James. Quality, I possess, some say I'm fresh. When my voice goes through the mesh of the microphone that I am holding. Copywritten lyrics so they can't be stolen if they are not. Don't need the police to try to save them. Your voice will sing. So peace, stay off my back or I will attack. And you don't want that.